Hi everyone, my name is Rishabh Tarve and I'm a student of Functional School of Technology. I'm pursuing a BTech in Computer Science and Engineering, specialization with Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning. Currently, I'm in the second semester of my college. Until now, I've learned the tech stacks such as HTML, CSS, JavaScript, DSA in Java using basics of Java, and also problem solving using DSA concept, and practiced few problems on code wars using JavaScript programming language, and also practiced DSA problems through LeetCode platforms. So currently we are learning a React.js library in which we are building micro projects day by day to enhance our skills in React.js library and to learn the concepts into deep dive. While understanding, we can implement them on the micro projects that we are building. So talking about the current micro project that I was working on a notes application, which is has an interface something like this, and where these few options will be available to the user. So the notes application that we are building will have the concepts of React such as use state and updating the state values whenever the choice is necessary, and JavaScript of higher order functions such as filter and map. So this is a notes application is working in this way that let's say I have given the title, so it tells me to enter a title. So you can give the title, then there is a save button just after the title. So once you save, the title will be saved. So once you will click on that folder, let's say you have entered the CSS file and you have given the CSS, what is CSS, and full form of CSS. So and if I save this, the CSS will be saved, and once you click on the text, the that particular notes will be opened by default. So the functionality that we are going to use, we will use the functionality of React.js. We will declare few state variables such as objects and set object, then arrays and set array. After that, we will implement the functionality of iterating using the map, higher order function map in JavaScript. And to delete, particularly, you will get the one by one, you will save the notes which you have created will be going to be saved here, and one by one you can delete them with the delete button which we have implemented. So talking about the functionality which we have implemented and the concept, so the concept that are being used in this micro project notes application is the use state and some higher order functions of JavaScript, and we've implemented them using a React application. And also the notes, we have used few CSS styling and icons in order to make it more presentable and to interactive. Uh, so let's move to the VS Code in order to create that. So this was a micro project that I have cloned from GitHub in order to submit it to uh, submit it as the micro project we have to submit in our academics. So I have imported it from the Git clone, and after that, this folder structure we have got, and under the SRC folder, we have created all the functionality which we have done. So talking about the app.js folder structure which you will get, so by default it will be empty like this. So let's say this will be empty and in the starting or have some pre-written code. So you simply have to clear all those codes and you have to write the code snippet as RFC React functional component, and you will get the basic structure of React functional components. So React functional components are just like the function in JavaScript, but they can be called in the different components you create. So let's you have, I guess you have understand that. So now let's come to the code which I have implemented. So to create the notes application, I have divided my notes into for three sections. I have given the into different components. So the first component I have used here is the heading as the notes heading. So my heading is containing all the navigation options such as this menu icon, this notes icon, this text for the note icon, and a title, or we can say input box to enter the title, and a save button. This is all containing under the notes heading. So this is the component I was talking about, notes heading. And talking about the notes heading.jsx, so .jsx is the extension we use when you want to implement the functionality of JavaScript and extensible markup language, including collectively. So you use the .jsx extension. So this is used to write your React application. So this is the project that I have imported from the Git clone. But if you want to create a new a React project, you simply have to write the command as npx in the lowercase npx create React tab and give the name of your notes application. Let's say you give the notes app and you simply press enter, and that React project will be created. After that, you simply have to redirect your VS Code to that particular project which you have created. So let's say I have created the notes app. So you simply have to pass the name of the, and after pressing enter, it will be redirected you by changing the directory. So the CD clearly means here changing the directory. After that, you simply have to start the project which you have started using the command npm start. So your project will be started. So this is the code structure, command line which you have to implement in order to uh, start your React application once you have created. Talking about my different components I have created. So in order to don't make so don't the component, so we can write it in the app.js itself or a single .jsx file, but we want them to call one by one all those components which we have created. So I have created a main component as notes app.jsx, and I have called all those sections or components I have created, such as notes heading, note side nav, and note text. Talking about the notes heading, I have told you that this is the main nav bar which you are seeing here is containing the notes heading, and the next note side nav is this one where all the titles are coming. So this is my note side nav. And talking about the last component we have created is note text, and the note text is this option uh, where the text you can write it inside what's the notes you want to keep. This will become under the notes text. Talking about the notes app.jsx is the main component which where we will render all, where we will call all our components we have created. So let's start with the notes heading. I have started with the notes heading which I have created, this one, which is containing an icon, a text, and a menu icon, and a input box, and a save button. Then this will start in this format. As the first line of code here is we are using, I have already told you, this application will be created using the useState concept and React library. So React object have been imported from the React library, and then in order to add styling to that page, what we simply does, we don't add styling to that component directly. We use the different module.css in order to don't make conflict between the components. So I have created another file to add styling to that particular component, notes heading.module.css. This is the preferred way to add styling to your preferred way of styling component to your preferred way of adding styling to the component. And that's what the node setting.module. Then in order to use that, you have to simply import them as a with a name. So the coding standard says that import it with a dot style. So any other person who is having your code can understand that this is implementing styling to your component. So we have imported with the styles, and whenever you want to add styling to that particular component using the modular CSS, you give the class name with a styles dot notation, the name which you have implemented to importing that styling. These two lines we have discussed why we have used that. Talking about the next line, we have, in order to create the whenever you create the file will be empty from the starting. Then you have to simply use the RFC code snippet, and React functional component will be created. In this format, the export default function node setting will be created, and a return statement will be provided. And after that, a parenthesis and a curly braces will be provided. So basically what we are doing here, we have simply started with the node setting component. After that, we have passed these parameters, array, set array, object, and set object. We have called all of them in the nodes heading. So you can see here we have declared few use states. So this was the nodes app which I was talking about. So at first I have used the use state and imported them, and then calling all the components. So I have at first the use state is I have used the syntax, and use state, the first use state which you are seeing here, I have passed as the empty array and declared two state variables, array and set array. What array and set array is doing here, array will store all the nodes which we have with the title and the text, and we will update that value using the state variable with the functionality of map, or you can say spread operator. Talking about the next we have is the one, each of the nodes we have with the title and the text, we will store them inside the object. So this will be in a complete association of array of objects, where each object is a node, and a complete array will be the list of nodes. So we have declared using the state variable, and by default I have given the title as empty string and text as the empty string. So by default this will all be empty, and we have called them in the notes heading, which I was explaining to you the previous slide. So let's come to the notes heading dot jsx. So by default we have imported all those parameters which we have used here: array, set array, object, and set object. Then talking about the functionality which you can see here, after the return statement we will discuss the handle submit and handle change once we will see where they have been implemented. So let's start with those. So once you will create the code snippet using the React functional component, the return statement will be provided for that particular component. You simply can't return different HTML elements, so you simply have to wrap them in the emp fragment. So I have simply used a fragment here. You can see the fragment have been closed. So that's why we are using fragment. We can't return different HTML element. We are using fragments. So this have been understand by you why we have used that. Now talking about the class name which we have implemented here, the and different divs I have used the class name. So once you will see my nav bar here, it is consisting of a menu icon, icon for the notes application, the text, and the input box, and the save button. This is all coming under the this one, the div with styles.navbar. The next I have implemented a menu icon with a bar. So I have imported them using the font awesome website and implemented them using the under the public folder. You will find index.html, and you will navigate to the font awesome website. There will be a kit for you. Then you have to copy that script in order to use the logo or icon which you are using. After importing that script, you can use them wherever you want. So after so you can only import, you can paste that script in inside the body tag. So we have used that inside the index.html under the public folder. Talking about the note set heading, I have explained you why how this logo is coming in our notes application, the menu icon. We are importing it from the font awesome website. The next div we have is styles logo. What styles logo is consisting of? Styles logo is consisting of this icon of notes application and the text. So the styles logo is styles.logo, the class name. The next div we have is consisting of this image we have used here, where the width and height is already provided, and the src means the an attribute source is taking from a particular website where the image is being already stored. And the alternate we have is task. So if that icon will not be rendered on the website, then task text will be shown here. Then the image tag has been closed. Then we have started with h3 tag, which h3 tag what we have simply used for to add the heading or to add the heading for that particular notes app we are creating. So that heading portion is enabling us to understand that the class name we have used for that notes heading as style.logo text. Then the div we have created for the logo and the logo text we have closed and given the styles as styles.logo. The next we have created a form tag. Why we have used the form tag? In order to create this input box. So to create the input box, we have used the form tag. So form tag has been started, and I will discuss about the on submit event later on. Let's discuss what's my form tag is having. So the form tag is at first having the input tag, input element, where the input element is providing input box to us, and where we can write the title for that particular notes we are storing. Then it has following attributes such as type as text, id as title. So type as text clearly understands the web browser that we're entering a text, and id title, so we can access the id from the text. So according to me, according to the code I have used, I have given the ID as title, so we can access the ID whenever we want to render it again, or whenever we want to delete that particular notes with the delete button we have provided, we can access them with the ID. The next we have is the attribute value. So value is containing the object.value. We have created the use state I was talking about. The use state we have used object. So object we are accessing it with the value object.title. So whenever we will call object.title with access that particular notes which we have provided, then that title will store that inside the object we have created. The next we have is the class name. Why we have used the class name? In order to add styling to uh, that particular input box we have created to enter the title. The next we have is placeholder as the attribute. So placeholder, what it simply means, it's gives a hint to the user what he has to enter. So we have given the placeholder as enter a title. The next we have is on change, handle change. The next attribute we have is on change. The on change is simply doing what? Whenever this will change the title to something we have entered, then a functionality will should enter, a functionality should implement, and that functionality we have used in the handle chain. We have implemented that functionality. And for on submit, you can clearly see there is a submit button, and for the save, so that should work when we will submit that form. So we have implemented both those functionality in the destructure format using the curly braces. So on change, we will discuss, and the handle change which I was talking about, on submit and on change. On change simply means whenever the text inside the title will change, this functionality should implement, and handle submit, the meaning that whenever that particular title we have used should be submitted, so what should be rendered on the browser and where it should be stored. That's what the handle submit is working upon. The next we have is a button tag. The button tag is simply adding a button in the last of the notes heading or the nav bar, you can say. We have used for the save tag, save button, as whenever a person used to write something and clicks on the save button, that particular so the CSS should more be implemented. So we will add styling for that particular thing. If we are writing for a longer text, we will update that. Sorry for that. The next we have is the, for example, someone clicking on the CSS, he wants to save that uh, particular title, then the on submit functionality should be implemented. Uh, Talking about the next we have is the form tag has been closed. The main div we have created for the styles.navbar have been closed, and the fragment, because we can't return multiple elements, so we have simply passed the uh, use the fragments, multiple HTML elements, so we have simply used the fragments. So this was all about the notes.heading JSX. The two things that I have to discuss in this notes heading, that handle submit and handle change, which I have implemented here. Handle change, whenever the text inside the title or the input tag will change, what functionality should be implemented, and whenever the form will be submitted, what functionality should be implemented. So const handle submit, we have created a function, and using the event, so event is the parameter inside the parenthesis. Whenever that particular handle submit will occur, that event should we are using the arrow function, and in the curly braces we are providing the instruction as event dot prevent default. So what event dot prevent default is allowing the form or the input tag to keep in the state where in which it is currently provided. So it simply means it will not goes into its default position. We are preventing it from that with this command line of command. The next we have is set array. So I've already discussed, I have created a few array and set array as the use state. So that particular set array is having the parameter as the current array we having, and the is currently empty. So we are importing all the current array in using the spread operator we have, and that particular object we have used we have implemented object.title will be called here, and that will be set to the current object we have used to use state object and array. That object is having the title and the text, which will be stored in the set object. Once that will be handle submit will occur, and array will having all the title and text before, and a new object will be added to that particular array. Then the handle change we are talking about. Handle change, what it simply does, handle change will simply call, and that parameter will be called using the parenthesis. Then arrow function has been implemented. Then what curly braces is talking about, it's still using the same line of command, event dot prevent default. What it's simply doing, it is stopping from going into the previous state, or stopping it from going into the default position. Then set object, we have again used that the current object we have all the stored title we have. So talking about the first notes we are going to add will be empty, but that will be considered that it is containing some having some objects inside that. So we have called that object using the spread operator. Then event dot target dot id, that's why we have given the id attribute. So event will be occurred, and target is taking all the attributes we have, so that will access that id inside the object, and will set that object inside that inside that, and event dot target dot value, whatever we have given to that particular text, will be stored in that object. So this was all about the node setting. Then talking about the modular CSS we have applied, we have given styling in order to make it look attractive. So background color black for the complete body we have given. Then notes application is having some margin left, and margin left the menu icon is also having. The save button is given few styling. So that is all about the modular CSS we implemented in that. The next we have is note side nav. So note side nav is this portion where we are having, once the title entered by the user is coming, that will be going to be add here. So note side nav, this was we are talking about in this file as well. We have imported the React library from React object from React library, then imported the styling simply so they don't conflict with each other's styling. So we have used the dot styles and given the modular styling for that, note styles side nav dot module dot css. Then we have export default function using the code snippet RFC. React functional component have been implemented. Then we are again calling all those parameters we have created in the nodes app.jsx array, set array, and set object, which we are implementing in the node setting. All those parameters have been called. Then we have implemented talking about these two, function handle and function open, we will discuss it later on. Let's discuss what nodes side nav is containing. So all those are containing inside the return statement for this component of node side nav. So it is containing a fragment at first, so we can't return multiple HTML elements, so we have used the fragments. Now the next line we have is div class name styles nodes have main container. So everything which is containing in this, all those titles and delete button and border, and all those titles we have will going to be in containing inside this node side nav main container, and we can add styling to that particular. Now talking about the next div, we have implemented a array.map. So one by one, all those titles we are entering, let's say Java. So with the help of map, we have stored it inside the object, and we will by using the nodes dot by using the higher order function of JavaScript map, that particular will be going to be add in the display section of that particular nodes dot side nav. So div class name style dot display. So display is the main container we have for the HTML and the delete button. This is particularly the complete section for the class name display. And map element dot index, we are providing the index. So one by one, all the titles will be going to be add in the enter a title that is going to be displayed in the node side nav using the array.map we have. So the array is containing all the array objects we have created, and that array will going to be displayed one by one with the index provided. Then next we have styles.item. So styles.item is containing this HTML and delete button itself. The display button is containing this border and the HTML and delete button, all of them. The next we have passed the class name as styles.text. So styles.text is talking about this one, the styles.text we have implemented. Then the text is being called here dot text. So this we are talking about. And next we have is the key. We have passed the key as the index. So one by one we can add that particular text inside that. Then we have is on click. So we have on click functionality attribute, and we have used that using the arrow function handle open. So handle open, we will discuss what will happen if that particular title will be open in part. This function has been called whenever we want to add few styling, or we want to add, we can particularly change that using the handle open. Then we have is element dot title. So that's also coming inside the span tag we have used. Then we have the class styles at delete. You can see here a delete button is provided. So that delete button is how it's working. It's working with the function of filter. So filter function is going one by one to that particular index and deleting one by one those particular title which we want using the filter function. Then we have used the button tag on click, what handle delete will work. So the button tag is doing that whenever the person deletes, that particular handle delete will work using the arrow function. Then image have been implemented. So the image we are using here to display the user that you are deleting a particular thing. So that should work. Then button tag has been closed, span div and main div have been closed. So that's all about the node side nav. Then we have nodes text. So node text is this particular portion where the user has an interface to enter whatever the text he wants. He can have the, let's say, something he written, and he can save it into the particular portion, and whenever he clicks, that particular section should open. So how that's going to be implemented in a notes tab, notes application. So that is working at first the same React application and the styling. Talking about the next React functional component, we have called all those parameters we have used: object, set object, array, and set array. Then function Talking about the all the things we have inside the notes text, we have the main div, that is notes text main container. Then a form has been created because we are using a text area in order to present this. So text area is providing a space for the user to write whatever he wants to store. Then we have the few attributes as id text, so we can access that using the text id. Then we have columns as rows, so number of columns we want to provide to the user at first, and the number of rows by default this will be visible. Then the value is storing, we can access them to store inside the object, so we can access them using the value attribute. Then the class name to add styling to that particular using a destructure format and using the modular css. Then we have placeholder, so the user can see what he has to enter. When I click on this icon, placeholder is visible, so the user can understand that he has to enter the text. Then on change, handle change, if this particular text area will be changed, what functionality should implement. Text area have been closed, form has been closed, div had been closed. Then talking about the handle change function, handle change, what it simply does, when this parameter will occur, the event.prevent will be first called. Then that it can't go into that particular state, the text should be visible to the user. Then set object, so the set object use state we have used in the notes app.jsx. It's particularly updating that state variable, and the current object we are storing will also have that event.target.id. So the target.id will the key for that particular object, and value will be stored inside the event.target.value. So all the pre-stored object will be by using the rest operator we have called, and we are storing the new uh, object we have using the event.target.id and event.target.value. The next we have is handle submit. So once the user clicks on the handle submit, the particular handle submit should work, and function handle submit will work when the particular parameter will be passed, and even prevent default is working when we don't want that particular text area should be going into its default position. So we have implemented this command. Then next we have is the set array. By using the state variable, we are updating its value using the spread operator. That the particular array we are having, we are accessing it using the spread operator, and the current object we have created will going to be stored in that particular set array state variable. Then talking about the notes text.module.css, we have implemented the modular css to that particular section of the uh, note text.jsx. Then we have uh, notes text.module.css in order to present in a more presentable way to the user. So we have added styling to that particular portion. Then we have talking about the notes app.jsx. Notes app.jsx, we are calling all the components we have created inside the div, and that's particular div we are going to create. All those components we have rendered in the notes app.jsx we have created. So let's say all the state variables we have declared, then the div is having the components as notes heading, notes side nav, and note text. Now we have wrapped all those note side nav and note text in a single div because we want to add styling to those all those portion in a single way. Then we have added using the class name styles.container2, and we have given the styling to that particular portion. And talking about the state variables and the uh, props we have passed using the object we are having, we have passed the object as d structure format, set object with the set object d structure format, and similarly for the array and set array state variable we have implemented. The next we are having is the object and set object props we have passed. They are also accessing in different components of that particular notes application. So all of those notes application have been wrapped inside the notes app.jsx, and we are simply calling the app.js inside the app.js. We are simply calling that particular component, so that should be rendered on our web browser. And let's start the terminal, npm start. So you can start the React project with the command as npm start, and it will start, it will be rendered on the local host. And so this was the notes application we are building, and the functionality which we are talking about is being rendered to you on the web browser currently. So let's say we have implemented a text and given its title particularly, so that particular text will be added to that. And when you will save, and when you click on that particular title or the side nav where that particular title is being rendered, you can simply click on that, that particular notes will be open, then clicking on the another, that particular note will be open. So that's all for this video. Have a great day. Thank you.